danger, a hero in black. The adventure you've been waiting for. Where does he get those wonderful toys? What are you? I'm Batman. Rated PG-13. Special preview Thursday. Open.
Welcome to day 10 of Michael Keaton Month, where I'll be reviewing all the movies that Michael Keaton has appeared in, and today I'm joined with a very special guest, Ryan Chattaway. How are you doing?
Good, thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm alright, not too bad. Thanks for coming on. It's really early for you over there in America. It's what time is it right now for you?
Well, it's actually not super early. I mean, it's only it's almost 9 o'clock, but
you're just about to start work soon, so
yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I usually don't do videos in the morning because I talk like and act.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be really cool to get you to join me on the review of Batman and Batman Returns. So our scheduling was quite tough to work out, but we managed to do it. We're here, and we're going to talk about the Tim Burton Batman movies. One of the first videos I saw that Ryan made on YouTube, if you haven't seen it before, by the way, go check him out, really cool YouTuber, was your Batman reviews, when you reviewed the 4 movies that came out in the 80s and 90s. And that's when I thought, I like this guy. I'm going to carry on watching his videos. So I know that you love the movies just as much as I do, and you also love the character. I know you collect the comics now, so that's really cool. But first of all, before we even get into the movies, when was your first experience watching Batman, Tim Burton's Batman? Do you remember when you first saw it, how you first got into it?
Like, I remember, okay, this is going to be kind of weird, but like when I was a kid, some kids like have like, you know, they could, sometimes I'd just be hanging out at my house, like, you know, just playing around my bedroom and stuff. I was like 5 years old. Well, like, I don't know exactly when I used to be, like, when I first saw Batman, but I do know when I was a kid, I was obsessed with it. Like, apparently the tape broke all the time. My mom used to, when I was a kid. In fact, when I was a kid, my parents let us draw, like, on our walls in the bedroom, like me and my brother. So it was like, we had all of this, like, I mean, it was like chickens signed our wall. And I remember growing up, and I was like, man, what the heck is all that? And my mom was like, well, that was when you were like starting to be obsessed with Batman. You drew, apparently I drew Gotham City all over the wall. And it was the Gotham City Cathedral from the movie Batman. So like,
oh, wow.
It's actually been like just one of my favorite movies ever since I was, as long as I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually just, I've reviewed these movies before for the Epic Film Challenge and the RazorwireReviews Bat-a-thon I did last year, so that's why I wanted to get Ryan on to kind of make it a bit different. I've already talked about these movies ad nauseum, but I'd actually forgotten. I only remembered recently when I was thinking about doing this video. I remember now, I have a vague memory of opening the VHS tapes on Christmas, and it was Batman and Batman Returns, and just that feeling of excitement of being able to own those movies, because I don't know when I first saw them, but I saw them when I was very young, and I just loved them. I just love them. One thing I'm interested in, did you ever know anything about Batman before you saw the Tim Burton Batman? Or is that too far back for you to remember?
Well, unless there was like a comic in my mom's stomach, I'm not really sure. Because apparently, because I mean, I was born in '87 and the movie came out, you know, like '88, and I don't know, maybe my mom is a huge movie buff, so like I get the only and she loves Michael Keaton, so like I don't.
Cool.
I'm sure that like she bought the movie when it came out. I'm sure they went and saw it in theaters when it came out. Yeah. And so, I mean, to be honest with you, other than, I mean, I'm sure I watched it when I was like 1 year old, and so that Batman is all like you say superhero. I always think Batman, even though Batman's not really a superhero because he's doesn't have any superpowers. But like Superman, I love. I mean, I love all these other superheroes, but like I hear the word superhero, and I automatically think Batman, and he's like the only big superhero to me, just because he's the one I've pretty much known like my whole life. So I don't really have like any memory of knowledge before I ever knew Batman, because I feel like I've always been a Batman fan.
Yeah. Well, I actually because I was thinking about it, because really I think my first kind of experience with Batman was Michael Keaton as Batman. So it was kind of like, you know, A lot of people who were big fans of Batman, when it was announced Michael Keaton was going to play Batman, they were like, "Oh, this is terrible. You know, this comedian, you know, this comic actor, this is going to suck." You know, and they already had, you know, the whole history of Batman before that. I never did, so that really never affected me. So it's kind of interesting. So maybe if anyone is watching this video and they were around before the '89 movie came out and what they thought about that, it'd be interesting to hear people's thoughts if they were around at that time. But yeah,
You want?
what are you going to say?
I was just gonna say, you know what's funny is like most people are like Mr. Mom playing Batman, but with like people like me, it's like Batman playing Mr. Mom.
Yeah, exactly. To me, he is Batman, and he always will be. And it's not only just because that was my first experience with it. I genuinely now, you know, being older and having seen all the movies, I mean, I've watched everything. I still think he's the best. But yeah, let's just talk about the movie for a bit now. It was released on the 11th of August 1989, and no real tagline to speak of. It was really just, the promotion was really simple. That's what I loved about it, or what I loved about seeing it after the fact. Obviously, I wasn't around at the time, or I wasn't, you know, cognizant of what was going on at the time. It was just a simple, that awesome poster. You know, it's one of my favorite posters of all time. That just yellow bat symbol, Batman. You know, occasionally they'd have Keaton, Nicholson, but it was mainly just Batman. Sometimes even just the symbol, and that was awesome. What do you think about the poster and of that movie? Because I love it.
Well, that was my favorite. One of my favorite. It's definitely one of my favorite. Yeah, I just said it 3 times. Promotional things ever in like movie history, because even like to this day, like you could still buy the DVD, and for a long time, even the VHS, they wouldn't even say Batman on it. It was just the bat symbol.
Yeah.
Just the bat symbol. So I mean, if you could make a poster that epic and that simple to where it never even needs the tagline or the name of the movie or the actors on it, and you just need the symbol. I mean, that's just epic right there.
Definitely, definitely. And the just again, the promotion for this movie was insane. The summer of '89 was the summer of Batman. Kevin Smith has talked about it in many podcasts, how it was crazy. Like, there were kids getting the Batman symbol shaved into their heads, and it was just mental. So what we're going to do is actually change things up a bit in this video. I'm going to show you some clips of some retro adverts, or just some examples of some of the many different advertisements that were used to just capitalize on the Batman name during the summer of '89. So let's have a look at them right now.
Hier is Batman. Het videospel. De jacht op de joker kan beginnen. Train door tot in de kathedraal en grijpen. Speel Batman op je Nintendo. Batman. Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
There's something new in Gotham City. It's Batman, like you've never seen him before.
Hey, Joker, a batarang surprise! Missed me. Time for a change. That disguise won't work, Joker. No, try this. So long, Batman. That's it. Wings out. Fire! You've got great new weapons, Batman. But I don't run out of tricks. You'll need them.
Batman, the Dark Knight Collection. Batman, like you've never seen him before, each sold separately.
The adventure continues. Now with Batman, the cereal. And nothing can slow him down. Nothing can stop him from bringing it to you. It's here. A smashing taste. A honey-nut-flavored part of your complete breakfast. Batman cereal.
Hello. Gotham Corner Store? Yes, we seem to be down to our last Diet Coke. A gentleman is on his way to pick some up. Just look for a black car. No, this black car will be rather difficult to miss. And by the way, the gentleman is usually in quite a rush.
Just for the taste of it, Diet Coke.
So there we go. So many kind of different things that were used. Basically anything that they could find to just stamp that logo on, they did it. And that Diet Coke advert is just hilarious. I love it, with Michael Gough. And I believe you've seen it, haven't you, Ryan? You said that you'd seen that one.
Yeah, I remember seeing it all the time when I was a kid, because I remember back in the day, like Pepsi and Coke would do like commercials on VHS tapes, like before. I forgot what it was. It was either Home Alone or some other movie, or even the Batman VHS because I watched it constantly. They showed it all the it was always on the. I mean, of course, it was always on the VHS because it was the same VHS. But every time I watched the movie, I watched that commercial, and I was like, man, this is such an epic commercial. Why do they not do these for commercials anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a movie budget commercial,
Yeah.
and like nowadays, like Diet Coke is my favorite drink.
Yeah. I just love the fact it's Michael Gough as well. Who, Alfred.
Yeah.
It's just just love it. I'd never seen it before until I was kind of researching it and stuff. But yeah, anyway, the movie. Michael Keaton. He's awesome as Batman, as Bruce Wayne. I love his acting in this movie, and he just come off Clean and Sober in 1988 and Beetlejuice in 1988, which I've talked about in the past couple of videos. But those two movies are so different. Beetlejuice, wacky, crazy, comedic. Clean and Sober, like real gritty drama. So, coming into Batman, there's kind of I could see why people were concerned. But I think Tim Burton has a knack for picking the right people for things, and obviously they'd established a relationship working together on Beetlejuice, and that's why Tim Burton wanted him for the role. I usually leave trivia till the end, but I just wanted to read off some names to you. I'm not sure if you've seen this. You probably have, because just like me, I know you always read up trivia on IMDb. But people who were considered for the role of Bruce Wayne and Batman: Alec Baldwin, Jeff Bridges, Emilio Estevez, Matthew Broderick, Kevin Costner, Tom Cruise, Michael J. Fox, Harrison Ford, Robert Downey Jr., Kevin Spacey, Patrick Swayze, Dennis Quaid, Kurt Russell, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mel Gibson, Charlie Sheen, Bill Murray, Pierce Brosnan, Tom Selleck, Daniel Day-Lewis, Tom Hanks, Kevin Kline, and Bruce Willis.
Wow.
So,
hey, Alfred. I don't know.
That is just, where do you even begin on that? I think if we talked about every one of those, it would just take forever. Let's just say that it could have been a completely different movie, particularly when you look at names like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bill Murray. That would have been, I don't even know what to think of that. Crazy. And the list of names for people who were considered for Vicky Vale, who was played by Kim Basinger, that is almost 3 times as long. So this movie was a big deal. They were looking at everyone, and to me, when you look at all those names of all those actors, Michael Keaton doesn't stand out very much. It's just the truth. With those big names. So it's a wonder that he got cast, but they went with it, and it was the right choice in my opinion.
Definitely.
So yeah, the storyline of the film, you got the Joker, Jack Nicholson. That was also a huge thing. There were many other actors considered. Robin Williams was one, who kind of made sense, I guess. Jack Nicholson was perfect though. That is the prime example of perfect casting in my opinion. He got a very big chunk of the merchandising though. What do you think of Jack Nicholson as the Joker in this movie?
Well, he's like one of my top actors ever. I've always loved Jack Nicholson like my whole life, and so like him like as the Joker, he's the Joker of like pre-1980s comics. Like Heath Ledger is in the comics from like the 80s or to the early 80s and before. Jack Nicholson pulls it off, and he's still sick and twisted. He's just a little bit goofier, but just the fact that it's Jack Nicholson playing Joker, and he's like, he's almost like a character in its own.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, people always kind of say that, oh, Jack Nicholson's so over the top, he's chewing up the scenery. That's what Joker is,
Yeah, oh, okay, he's over the top.
Yeah,
that's great.
But like, and it's also interesting when you look at like people from an earlier generations who grew up with Adam West as Batman, and then this version came along, Tim Burton's. They're like, wow, it's so dark and awesome. I love this. And then you go to this generation with the Christopher Nolan films, and everyone's like, oh, this is so dark and awesome. I love this. And they kind of see the Burton movie as campy now, which is kind of odd, I guess. In a way, I can see why, maybe, but I still love it. And to me, the thing that really stands out the most, apart from the acting and stuff, is the way Gotham looks in the movie. I think Gotham is just fantastic. It looks exactly how Gotham should look. Not quite like a city that we have anywhere in the world. Just a bit more dark, a bit more kind of gothic, and it just looks awesome in that movie. Dark Knight movies, they're fantastic, but really it takes place in Chicago, It's not really Gotham to me. They kind of toyed with that in Batman Begins, I thought, but that's a completely different topic. Did you like the look of Gotham in the Tim Burton movies?
Yeah, I like it even more. Like, I love the opening shot. Like, I think the opening shot where it's like Gotham's like the skyline of the city.
Yeah.
That's just straight up amazing. But I mean, I remember hearing Kevin Smith talk about the movie, and he's a big fan, but he was talking about how the city, you could tell that the set designers probably like, they used the same stuff over and over, but I don't even care about all that because whatever they used still looks freaking awesome. Like, it just looks dark, Gotham-like. I mean, it's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. The storyline of the movie is basically, it's quite simple in a way. We see that the Joker, before he becomes the Joker, which is never really addressed in the comics, there's no real canon story of who Joker is before he becomes Joker. So Jack Nicholson plays a character called Jack Napier, I believe, is that right? Napier?
Yeah.
And we see that he actually killed Bruce Wayne's parents when he was a kid, which is a change from the original story that it was Joe Chill. People had a problem with this. My thoughts on it is every iteration of Batman is different, and there are changes all the time. Just go to a bookstore and pick up a history book on Batman, there's plenty of them, and just look at all the different versions of Batman there's been. There's been some crazy, weird, alternate reality style, stories. This isn't really that big of a deal. So for me, I don't know. It didn't really bother me that much. I don't think it needed it. That kind of connection between Batman and Joker, but it is what it is, I guess. What do you think about the other characters in the movie, like Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger, Alfred, Michael Gough? Any thoughts on the other characters in the movie?
I thought everybody was awesome. I mean, you gotta love, Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger's screaming the entire movie, but, but the thing is, that's the character. I mean, she was, the damsel in distress, I guess you could say. I mean, she was constantly in all these situations, so of course she's gonna scream, but, like, Knox was hilarious just because he was your typical, like, I don't know, your typical journalist,
Yeah.
You could tell that he was a lot of the comic relief for some of the movies, just because, and now, like, being a huge Batman fan, like, even like universe kind of fan that I am now, I do wish that they would have done more with Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
But even then, like, still, Commissioner Gordon in the first Batman movie is still to it. Just, I don't know, maybe it's more nostalgia than anything, but, like, he's just an awesome character to me, and I just love the whole movie.
Yeah. Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. A bit more of a portly version of Gordon than we're used to, but I enjoy him a lot in the first movie. He doesn't have much to do really in the second. Well, I guess he does, but yeah, I think he's a lot better in the first movie, more utilised, I think. And there's another clip I'm going to show you now, and it's from the 1990 People's Choice Awards, where Batman won the best movie. Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton get up on stage and accept the award, and Keaton kind of gives a kind of, without really saying it, a bit of an FU to all his critics who thought that he couldn't pull it off, which is really cool, so that's why I wanted to include it in this video. And he also mentions that Michael Gough, who played Alfred, is really kind of not given the credit he deserves, because I think, well, me personally, and obviously Keaton thought the same, I think he's brilliant as Alfred. Like, to me, he's the perfect Alfred. I really enjoy, there's just something about him, I can't even put my finger on it. He just seems perfect for the role. And Tim Burton cast him because of all his work in Hammer horror movies, which Burton's a big fan of. Did you like Alfred in this movie, and indeed the Batman Returns?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's the Alfred. I mean, I love Michael Caine's Alfred, but this Alfred is different because, it's not different, but this Alfred is the Alfred of the comics, basically, that is, in the comics and stuff, you see Batman hanging out like that, and all of a sudden Alfred walks up and he has, a little tray of drinks or something in his hand. He's like, "Yes, sir," and he has like these little witty lines and stuff. And I feel like this movie really showed that.
Yeah.
But then it also broke into the whole, that dinner scene where he's just talking with Bruce and Vicky.
Yeah, I love that scene. That's a brilliant scene.
A great job.
Definitely. I love the scene where Vicky Vale comes over to the Wayne Manor, and they're having dinner across the table, and apparently that was Keaton's idea for him to sit right at the other end of the table. And it was also his idea to do the sleeping upside down when he's swinging. So, he had a lot of input. Oh, and I forgot the clip. Yeah, I'll just show you the clip first before we move on from the 1990 People's Choice Awards.
Okay, this gets dull sometimes, but there are a lot of people to thank. Jackson, first of all, for his key words in the makeup room saying, just let the wardrobe act, kid, which I did. Sound advice, I might add. And Gouverneur Peters and everyone involved in the film. Kim Basinger, Jackson, Robert Wool, Mick Gough, who played Alfred, I don't think has gotten enough press, in my opinion. And everyone involved. It was really great. It was a tough job. And I also want to thank Carolyn McWilliams, who was always at the end of the phone for me. Yeah, it was big. And my favorite pal in the whole world, Sean Douglas, who just makes me smile. And sometimes that's enough. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to say something in response to all the folks who were writing who kept those cards and letters coming, you know, who said I couldn't do the job. And I'd just like to say, when you come from a family like mine, and you come from where I come from, all you got to do is tell me no, baby. So just keep those cards and letters coming.
Okay, so Batman 1989, awesome movie. I love it. You know, I think Keaton's great. He's got this really good intensity to him when he's in those quiet moments that you kind of almost see something behind his eyes. There's more going on there, you know. I think he looks great in the suit, you know. I just think he's awesome, badass. And, one other thing, and I never really thought about this before until I was thinking about doing this video with Ryan. This movie is a really big superhero movie that introduces a character after almost 20 years of not being seen, you know, on the big screen, you know. And there's no origin, you know. We see a brief flashback of his parents being murdered, but for all intents and purposes, when this movie starts, he is Batman. We don't get to see the journey of Bruce Wayne turning into Batman. You know, the first shot we see him, I'm Batman, you know. And I love that because you can just get right into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some mystery to it.
Yeah, there's that too as well. Nothing against Batman Begins and everything, brilliant movie, but I just love the fact that we just get right stuck in there with Bruce Wayne, Batman, and everything's all fully formed and everything. And there's some great lines in this movie too, you know, just really quotable. You know, Keaton just being Keaton. He still has some of that kind of that comedic spark, I feel, at times. Yeah. Any other thoughts you want to leave Batman?
If you have not seen this movie, go on Amazon and buy the Blu-ray right now.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Batman fan. Get over it. Buy it.
Yes, definitely.
Nothing and no one can stop Batman from returning home. The movie event of the year is now for sale on video cassette. So bring home the Bat. What do you want? The Cat.
Yeah.
And the Penguin. Gotta fly! In the movie Rolling Stone called explosively entertaining, Batman Returns.
Next movie, Batman Returns, which was released 3 years later, and you know, Michael Keaton came back to do a second movie with Tim Burton, and this time we had more villains put into the fray. It was released on the 10th of July 1992. Tagline was "The Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin." Sums it up. We get Danny DeVito as the Penguin. We get Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. Selena Kyle, we see her turn into Catwoman. We have Christopher Walken playing Max Schreck as a kind of shady businessman. Well, not shady, but like, you know, sinister. Yeah, that's the kind of the main kind of big characters that are introduced into this movie. What do you think of Batman Returns? It's a lot darker than the first one. People criticize it for that, I think, but I love the fact that it's a darker movie. Your thoughts on Batman Returns?
Well, I just know I remember I hated it when I was a kid. I probably only watched it a few times.
Yeah.
Like, I just did not like it. I thought it was boring. I thought it was too, you know, I didn't even like think of the term that was too dark. I just thought it was just like, I really just thought it was boring when I was a kid.
Interesting.
And when I got older, you know, I started liking it more because I started, you know, having some understanding of what the movie was trying to do and psychology of the characters and the actual unfolding of the story. And, you know, I always just considered it an okay movie. I was like, okay, that's Tim Burton, you know, like on crack, you know, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even until like 4 years ago. No, actually, I keep saying that. It's really been a little bit longer. I mean, since I was, wow, I guess you could say 5 remember how many years ago now, but I remember I sat down and I said, you know what, I'm going to put all bias and all that and hatred aside. I'm going to watch this movie for what it is. And I remember I was like literally blown away by it. I was like, not only is Tim Burton doing an awesome job with this movie, and it's like artistically amazing, but actually the story and the like psychology of all the characters are really awesome. And it's awesome seeing all the characters unfold, and it's very unconventional for a superhero movie, which is probably why people were so taken back by it, just because it's not a feel-good movie.
No.
At all.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's very dark. Well,
yeah.
There's a very twisted version of Penguin in this, you know. And what I love the most about this movie was actually, you know, I love Dan DeVito, what he did with Penguin, you know. And if you see behind the scenes clips, you know, he's in character all the time because he really went deep with that. And you know, I love the look and everything, and just the nose and the flipper hands and everything. It's just awesome. But my favorite thing in the movie, I think, is the relationship between Bruce and Selina, or Batman and Catwoman. The fact that they keep meeting each other throughout the movie as themselves and as their masked alter egos, and the just duality of both their characters and how they're drawn together and they're not sure why and everything, and just the way it's played is just perfect, I think. Your thoughts on their relationship?
It's like I think their relationship works out a little bit better than Vicky Vale's.
Yeah.
And but that's mainly just because of the fact that she has her own issues too, and she has her alter ego, and so does he. And you know, it's kind of like suspense in that too. Are they going to find out? You know, like I don't know. And if you start to get into the whole, wow, you could see they're basically different sides of the same coin. Like, you know, they both had something tragic happen in some way, shape, or form, and they go to something that they, you know, fear or some kind of symbol, but one just went down a different path. One's more person, and the other one's just a good person. And I guess you could even argue the morals of that as well. But I don't know. I think they had a great relationship, and Michelle Pfeiffer did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. One of my favorite parts of the movie is when she has been basically pushed out of a building, you know, and she almost dies, and then all these cats are like kind of biting her and stuff. Never liked that. It always creeped me out a little. But when she goes back to her apartment, she's just kind of like this weird kind of glaze over her face, and then she just completely destroys her apartment and stuff. I remember when I was a kid just being kind of taken aback by it, but also thinking this is really good. It's one of my first experiences watching the scene and thinking, that young, and thinking this is really well done.
See, I was always like amazed that she made that entire Catwoman suit out of that one little leather jacket.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like the thing with the what is it? Hell here. She had the neon letters and stuff that she smashed out. And one of my favorite lines in the movie is just this genius little line is when Penguin, who he comes up from the sewers and he gets accepted by Gotham with Max Schreck as his kind of like his second hand, kind of, you know, introducing him to the world, I guess you could say. He's lived in the sewers all his life, and he goes to see the graveyard of his the gravestone of his parents in the graveyard. All the press are there, and they're like, you know, what do you think? What do you think? What's your first reactions? And he's like, I was their #1 son, but they treated me like #2. I just thought that was a genius line. Again, I didn't really get it until I was older, but I just thought that line was really funny.
That's like up there with that Batcave line. Like
yes. Why don't you explain that line?
Well, I mean, like, you know, there was a huge backlash over the first Batman movie because Alfred Ramley let, spoilers, Vicky Vale into oh, dang, man. I just realized that, is this in the, yeah. Anyways. Sorry if you guys didn't catch the spoilers.
You can spoil it, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Well, Vicky Vale is led into the Batcave at the end of the other
Batman, of
the original Batman movie, and you know, it was always this little controversy, and fans were like, "What?" Thing, and like it's just like this. It's kind of like, I still like the scene, but it's still kind of awkward in a way. It's kind of cringeworthy, just a little bit, but it's still awesome just because of the movie. But like you could tell that the screenwriters of Batman Returns, who wasn't it the same screenwriter?
I think it was, yeah.
But like, you know, that scene in the first movie was changed during, I guess, the writer's strike, so he didn't have anything to do with it. And so, like, in order to get back, I guess in a way of, like, getting back at the people who changed it, they made that little comment in Batman Returns where they're talking about security, and and Alfred says something about security, and Keaton's like, security. You let Vicky Vale in the Batcave.
Yeah, it's such like a wise ass quip that kind of almost breaks the fourth wall a little. And kind of like, you know.
It's just an awesome line. It's out of nowhere and it's hilarious.
Yeah. Why I love Christopher Walken in this movie as well. I thought he was great. But probably my favorite moment of the whole movie is just the ending. Again, spoilers. I don't really care. I'm sure you've seen the movie. Is the way the penguin dies, and then he's kind of just taken off into the water by the penguins. They give him this weird kind of funeral, and then he just floats off into the sewers. Just kind of.
It's really depressing. Man.
Oh yeah.
It's really sad and depressing, that part, because you kind of feel for that. Because even though he was evil, I mean, he was really manipulated by Max Schreck, and
yeah.
Bad for him, and then you hated him at the same time, and so like when he dies, you're like, in reality, it was somebody that was just treated like crap when he was younger, and he's misunderstood, and even though he wanted to kidnap kids and kill them and blah blah blah, it's still like it's a really depressing thing, and you just see Batman standing there witnessing the whole thing. You know, Bruce Wayne, because his mask was basically off, but you're just like, it's like even Batman's like, damn, what's going on? You know, like, what is this? This is a pretty dark city right now.
Yeah. Well, I think those are always the best villains, ones that have different sides to them. You know, that you can kind of, you know. But yeah, because he was cast out as a baby. That's the opening of the movie. You know, these kind of upper class kind of parents in Gotham. They've got this small child who's got a hand deformation, and they just take the basket and cast it out into the sewer, basically. So that's a dark way to open the movie, a dark way to end the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Batman Returns, I love it. I think it's great. I think Keaton's awesome. A scene I forgot to mention in the first film that I think is probably the best one is when he's trying to tell Vicky Vale that he's Batman, and he's like really struggling with it, and it's like really subtle. And then within the same scene, we see him kind of do his trademark Keaton freak out, where he's like, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts."
I think when I was a kid, I said, "Mom, that sounds like Beetlejuice." Well, son, it's the same guy. And I was like, "Batman's Beetlejuice?"
I also had that epiphany where I realized that Batman was Beetlejuice, and my mind was briefly blown for a second in my childhood years. So yeah. Oh, and I guess also we didn't really cover what Joker was doing in the first movie, but very briefly, his plan in the movie after he got dropped in acid, you know, and Batman didn't save him, was that and he had all his face, you know, weirded up. I don't know. My brain's kind of frozen. But when his face gets all messed up and he's got like a permanent grin on his face, he decides he's going to kind of get his revenge by putting all this poison into grocery products in Gotham, so when people take it, you know, they laugh themselves to death. And I thought that was perfect for the Joker. I thought that was a really cool, twisted little plot point, I guess you could say. And also look, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's almost like a Tim Burton or the screenwriters are like trying to make like a commentary of society, like, you know, of course everybody will get affected by it because everybody's so superficial, I guess, in the city and want to make sure they look good. Everybody wants to be perfect, and so of course, hygiene products would be the thing to go for.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think I said grocery products, but yeah, this is like beauty products. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I love that kind of commercial he does as well. The Joker, Brand X.
Yeah, he's been using Brand X.
Love that Joker. And I also love the scene where he's got Vicky Vale in this restaurant, and he's looking through all her photography, and he's like, crap.
Yeah.
And there's just so many great lines, and I think both movies are awesome. I prefer the first one just because it's the first one, and you got that brilliant, you know, Keaton and Nicholson, just two awesome actors bouncing off each other. Brilliant. Anything you want to leave or add to any of these two movies before we finish up?
Where can I get one of those toys?
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just awesome movies. Yeah, you can't go wrong with either of them. I mean, the first one definitely. If you just want to see a good, I mean, because Batman Returns is almost like an art house kind of film, like throwback to like, like Metropolis style, like city, German expressionism stuff, and I think that's why I just didn't like it when I was a kid, because I was like, why is there so many long shots of boringness?
Yeah.
Why does Max Schreck look like Back to the Future? Like, I never said that. I just made that up. But still.
All right then. Well, thanks for joining me on this. I'm going to leave with some clips. There's one of Keaton talking about getting to work with Jack Nicholson in the first movie, and then we'll end it with another clip of Keaton really talking more recently about what he really thought the character of Batman and Bruce Wayne was all about and how he approached it. And that's, I think, what makes it really great. Not that I'm saying that other people haven't done that, but I think Keaton really kind of delved into the psychology of the character and really thought about it, and that's why he pulled off an amazing job, in my opinion.
And that's why Superman works alone.
Great line from a terrible, terrible movie. I think we'll leave it at that. Thanks for joining me, man. Hello?
You didn't hear me?
No, I think you cut out for a second.
I just said, all right, man, thanks for having me.
Okay, there we go. We'll just leave that in as it is. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
I have a feeling, although you and I have never discussed this before, that for you being in a movie, any movie with Jack Nicholson, was probably like the achievement of a small dream you had someplace.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy, I can name a bunch of actors that I would always wanted to work with, but I gotta say Jack was probably the number one. And in fact, I almost didn't do the movie because I thought, when he did a movie called Missouri Breaks with Brando, he had always loved Marlon Brando and wanted to work with him, but he almost didn't take the movie because he thought, I'm not sure I want to blow it on this one if this isn't the right one. And I almost didn't do this movie because I thought, I want to do just the right thing with Jack. And
because the chance may not come around again.
Exactly. So I didn't want to blow it, and I thought, you know what, it might not come around again. I'm going to do it and take my chance. He's as great a guy and as good an actor as it gets, and he's truly one of a kind, man. And when one day he looked over at me, we're both being made up in our suits, and he just looks at me and says, "Well, we just got to let the wardrobe do the acting, kid." And that's true. After a while, man, you just work the suit, you know.
Were you frightened or intimidated at all? A little bit, like the first day you meet him when you're.
Yeah, no, the idea of it a little bit, because I thought, I'm not sure what he's like, and this could be, because he's huge. He's huge, and he. But the first day I went over to talk with him about the script, and we had some dinner, and the first day that was gone. It was he's not unlike me or people I grew up with. I just like a guy.
Regular guy.
Yeah, I like a guy you can talk about.
People say that. No, he's a regular.
No. I mean, if a regular guy is, I don't know who would be a regular guy.
Well, I'm a regular guy.
All right, no, he's not regular at all. In that case, no.
Hey, now wait a minute.
No, I mean, on one hand, he is very. I mean, one day night we're coming home from dinner and we're discussing the best ways to make vanilla milkshakes and what we like about it. And he can turn around literally and discuss, the Picasso and then.
How did Picasso like his milkshakes?
He actually, he actually liked them thin, but he was cheap. He just didn't want to pay for the extra. And short. He liked them short.
Was there a friendship molded here, do you think?
Yeah, we're kind of pals. I mean, everybody keeps asking me that. It's not like we hang together all the time, but we go out and see each other and sit down and have some dinner every once in a while. What was the surprising thing is how, you see people be funny in movies, and then you meet them and they're not necessarily very funny.
Right.
They just have somehow figured out how to do this thing. He's genuinely funny. I mean, he genuinely will make you laugh.
He says funny things and does funny things. It's entertaining to be around.
He's extremely entertaining. Yeah.
But
I think he was miscast.
Jack Nicholson was, I think at the time or even now there's a kind of image that is not as accurate as people think, because he was somebody I always admired, and then when I got to meet him and act with him, I was very nervous, but his professionalism was pretty extraordinary, you know. And you know, he was so committed to, you know, he just, the thing about him is, you know, that he just goes right after it. You know, I mean, this is a guy who played all the great roles, and then he's going to play the Joker, and just, you know, never made a comment about it, never was too cute about it. Totally committed to the idea, as we all were. You know, there's no getting around that. You know, you're in a big rubber suit, you better commit to it. Oh man, I laughed a lot on that movie. There were so many things that were so demeaning. So we get there and we're ready to shoot like the next day. So they go, well, in suit? No, not ready suit. No, it's not ready suit. Now's the day. Literally had to get into it, and like I had to like squeeze it like into it. Like honestly, I don't think I've ever been the same since. And I had to do it all day, and you couldn't get out. You couldn't get out. To the second one, they made like a way that if I really had to get out, I could get out. So it was in, you're in for the day, like that's it. So you had to be committed. So I kept thinking about this. I thought, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So what I did was I thought, there's no getting out of this one. There's no turning back on this thing. So what I did was I took all of it, and it ended up working really, really great for the character because it really, I always wanted him to be internalized anyway. And then I really wanted him to be internalized. So it just took me really deep, you know, where I had to go into kind of like a state where I thought, I'll go crazy if I have to be wrapped in this thing all day. So what I did, I started to go really, really deep into find kind of a place where I could just be in it. And like just sit right down in it and just kind of be there for the whole time. Then it worked. Then it was like a bonus. Then every time I got into it, I kind of started like it started to take me into that kind of really, you know, that, because it was all in here, you know. And the key to the thing that nobody got from that was the key to that was Bruce Wayne, not Batman. I always knew it was never Batman. It was Bruce Wayne. He's a interesting cat.
What are you? I'm Batman.
Okay. Anything else to talk about?
Did you have a hard time fighting the house?
So many good lines, man.
See, that's like Keaton. That's just a pure Keaton line right there.
Yeah.